YouTube. You can see I'm in my gear for going on the treadmill in just a few more minutes. But before I do, I just wanted to say my number 3 thing that I've learned about myself along my journey, or what works for me. And, oh, I just have to adjust myself here, sorry. The thing for me is how huge, huge, huge carbs are for me. When I went through my surgery process, you know, I met with my dietitian, got a whole binder full of information, and basically everything said protein first. I didn't have any limits on carbs, or nobody really talked too much about carbs. It was always about protein. And this really, I think, made a difference for my journey. Talking with people going through their journey from other surgical centers, they were talked to about carbs and to watch their carbs and to limit their carbs to X amount of servings, or X number of grams of carbs per meal. And nobody really made a point of telling me the important roles that carbs play in our journey, and not to have so much in the early stages, you know, to really promote the loss. And I think if I redid my journey, I totally would take it differently, because I'll tell you, I had to work my butt off to lose weight. I was doing 7 miles a day, starting about 6 months out, because I was not losing like other people were losing. I was doing 3 miles. That would be my to and from walking to work, because it was about 1.5 miles each way. So I'd do 3 miles there, and then I'd come home and I'd do 4 miles on the treadmill, watching Judge Judy, which was my secret like back then. And so I spent the whole hour going through 2 episodes and walking on the treadmill, 7 miles a day. And man, that's hard to keep up, you know, over a lifetime too. But that's what I had to do to even get up there in my loss compared to other people. And talking with other people after, you know, I kind of found out that, you know, carbs are a big thing. And I was probably having too many carbs in my diet, too many snacks that were carbs, and making them too much of a focus. I still met my protein goals, but I was just having in added carbs that I really didn't need. And that could, you know, slow down the whole ketosis thing for losing. I really wish people would have told me more about the whole carb issue, because now, oh boy, carbs are huge for me. I can honestly eat, you know, 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day and eat and not lose weight. And unless I have a really high percentage of protein and a low percentage of carbs, that scale doesn't move. So I really have to make a point of having carbs. And one thing I try to do is to have a protein shake to start breakfast. And even though it's not ideal because it's not food, I find that if I don't have a protein shake, I'm going to have something that's easy peasy, because I don't cook in the morning. I could get up early and do that, but I tend instead to sleep in and run out the door. So if I'm going to grab something, it's going to be a carb if I don't have a protein shake. And that, you know, it's going to be an English muffin, or it's going to be granola bar or whatever. And really, I gotta cut them out if I want to lose. I have to eat more protein, optimal kind of things. I use MyFitnessPal, and I enter my foods in, and I'm trying to get towards that 40% protein, 30% carbs, 30% fat in my diet. And it doesn't mean, like, you can enter a food and say you have a breaded fish. That's not going to come back 100% protein, because there's breading, and because there may be fat that it's dipped into to hold that breading. The percentage is really key for the food. So you can't just say, well, I'm eating all protein because I'm eating this. It's not as simple as that. That's why I have to do the calculations and enter it into MyFitnessPal and use the little graph on my phone and find out where I am. And I'm trying to really make sure that I hit at least the 40% protein in my diet, and that I'm hitting no more than 30% carbs. And I tend to lose if I hit more like 20%. I tend to start losing more with my weight. But it's hard to keep up. It really is. I mean, carbs are the nice foods, what we like the most. I mean, realistically. But I do find that the protein drink in the morning helps me out. And I do Premier Protein, which I really like, chocolate, but I don't always get to Costco, so sometimes I do Body Fortress, which is from Walmart, and add some PB2 because I hate the protein flavor in it, so the PB2 kind of cuts it out. And I tend to use almond milk, not anything else, or water. Those are ideal. I don't want to use milk. Milk has too many carbs, so I tend to use either water or almond milk. Almond milk makes it a little bit more thicker and enjoyable than the water does, but it does add a little bit of flavoring, which my husband doesn't like, but I do, so I guess it works out for me. But I do like the Premier #1. So I wish I would have learned more about carbs, because for me, to keep losing and to keep the weight off, the carbs are really huge in my diet. And as well, they're also super huge because I developed reactive hypoglycemia. And for those that don't know what reactive hypoglycemia is, it often develops at the 1 year out mark, or between 1 year out and 2 years out. And basically when I have carbs or anything with sugar or anything with carbs, because remember, carbs turn into sugar later, my blood sugar comes up high like it would normally do. Your blood sugar goes high after you eat, but then it's coming down to the 5 to 8 range, which is our Canadian measurement. It will go down to 3 to 2. And I've even been down as far as a 1.1, which I think is about 18 for the American conversion. And I've passed out twice from it, which is really scary. And those were my fault because I didn't really catch it. And I kind of chalked it up to other things, that I wasn't feeling well. And so reactive hypoglycemia is something you have to take really seriously. So there's, again, where carbs are a huge thing for me, that I have to limit them or really watch, because you know what, it could be complex carbs that set me off. People sometimes say, well, you know, maybe you're eating too many processed foods and maybe that's why it's setting off. I could have a starchy carb that will set me off, like potato, corn, whatever, and I can have complex carbs that set me off as well. I mean, it's usually around, I think, if I have anything more than 25 grams, wherever the source may be, you know, white stuff or complex, then that's where I suffer difficulty. But if there's anyone out there that needs information on reactive hypoglycemia, please contact me. I have a great pamphlet on that I am more than willing to share. So for me, for the rest of my life, and this is what I've learned, that carbs are going to have a huge impact in my life, my diet, getting my weight off, maintaining the 130 plus pounds that I have kept off, getting those 10 to 15 pounds of regain off, and it's gonna be challenging for sure. So that's about it. Thank you.